All right, shalom, shalom. All right, Brakat Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham Rakakwadash. All right, double honors to our apostles and elder bishops here at Great Millstone. Shalom to you, Akim. Name of this one is they're gonna turn it up another notch. All right, and really that's how things have been anyway. There's been crises after crises. You know, um, scandal after scandal. Okay, and for the foreseeable future, all right, that's all it's gonna be. All right, and the scriptures speak on that, and it refers to it as birth pains. And this is what we're supposed to be, pretty much preparing ourselves for. You know, we might not know exactly what's going to happen, but there's many scenarios that take place. You can never, um, uh, you can never be, too prepared. I guess you could say. You're just gonna have to go with the flow of things. And pray, and fast and do what you have to do to, keep your sanity. Now we know scriptures talk about, wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of our times. Okay. And most don't understand, the signs of the times, which is important. Oops. Okay. And that's important. Oops. That's important. All right. Isaiah 33:6, and wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of thy times and strength of salvation. Okay, because we're hoping. Our hope is in a sure foundation, a kingdom to come. And most people put all their eggs in a basket concerning this place, thinking that this place is going to go on and on and on. But this place is only proven to get worser and worser and worser. And the elite are projecting it to be even more bad. All right, the elder posted this earlier, you know, and yeah, I mean, don't expect anything else. A lot of people are expecting for this place to be better. That's not going to be the case. A lot of people, their hopes are going to be broken. All right, because they trust in this corrupt place, which is bound to fall. It's bound to, and the elite know it because they're sabotaging it. Right. This is Second Ezra. Okay, but this and what comforts us is that this is all prophecy. This is what the Lord said was going to happen. But wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of our times. While people debating, changing up the doctrine at a time where you're supposed to be solid, at a time where you're supposed to be locked into your faith, you got many of it just doing this thing to forward themselves to make money off of, the people, make merchandise and sell things and as if this is some, family reunion, barbecue, type of get together, festive thing. That ain't what this is about. This is about mourning. All right, sighing and crying for the abominations that be done in the midst of us. Praying and crying unto the Lord that He comes save us from this hellhole, because that's exactly what it is. And and it's gonna be more of that. Second Ezra 16:37. Behold, the plagues draw nigh and are not slack. All right. Because things are going to gradually get worse. And, with the scriptures say it, the elite, they're saying it, and it's all lining up. I mean, what can you do? Brace yourself. That's all I can say is, and brothers have that mind where, as the elders always point out, that things are going to get uncomfortable. and Esau is gonna come down with great wrath, and you're gonna know he's the devil because shit, he's gonna fully step into that role. I mean, he's always been in that role, but I mean, what I really want to say is that he's gonna, let the world know who he truly is. Verse 38, and as when a woman with child in the ninth month bringeth forth her son with 2 or 3 hours of her birth, great pains compass her womb. Which pains, when the child cometh forth, they slack not a moment. All right. Even so shall not the plagues be slack to come upon the earth, and the world shall mourn, and sorrows shall come upon it on every side. All right. And these are the beginning of sorrows. Okay. And just like a woman in birth pains, as that baby comes, those birth pains get worser and worser and worser. And that's what we're gonna see the world, kind of topple over into. All right. I got a slew of scriptures, this is on End Time Headlines. They had a podcast, you know, says in tonight's podcast we discuss a publication sent out by elites for elites every year that forecasts what the next year will bring. 2026 forecasts suggest bleak months ahead with possible war, famine, and disasters. Are these elites providing a glimpse into what they either know is coming or have a direct hand in orchestrating? All right. And that's for sure what's happening, because the scriptures say, that he gave them power, all right, to take peace from the earth. Okay, Revelation 6:4, and they play a pinnacle role in prophecy. The so-called white man, all right. Um, you know the things he's doing, and as the scriptures say, you should know them by their fruits. You should know them by their works. All they ever did was prove that they're the wicked. All right. But the Lord is using them, of course. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, he's using them to do certain biddings. All right. And the main thing is to take themselves out, and to punish the world. Okay. And bring the world into straits, because as he's putting the world into straits, well, that's the fire. Okay. The affliction. He's kind of providing that, through Esau. But that, that the furnace or that fire is cleansing the elect, so that we may be blameless at the coming of our Lord Yahweh Shai. Because when he comes, there ain't this. Look, if you was worried about the elite and what they about to do, well, you got another thing coming, because when the Lord comes, there's a whole lot more dreadful and fierce. All right. That's what we should be preparing ourselves for, and constantly praying that the Lord give us understanding, and that he cleanses, he purifies us, and that we can stand in his sight, with him crowning us. All right, 6:4 says, there went out another horse that was red. All right. And that's synonymous with who? Esau, Edom. All right. Or Edom, Adawam. Adawam, which literally means red. Okay. And power was given to him that sat thereon to take peace from the earth. And essentially that's what they're doing. Okay. They got the power to take peace from the earth. They got the power to oppress men, and that's what they're going to do. And we've seen nothing like this in the history of mankind, because they didn't have the technology as they do now. And they said that from their own mouths. I think it was Yuval Noah Harari that spoke about dictators and how they, wasn't successful, but now they could be the ultimate dictators. I'm not quoting them verbatim, but they said it out of their own lips. You can look it up. And that they should kill one another. That's war, right? So, and that's that's what Esau is about. His perception, And his morals is based on, he believes that war is the only option. Now, what does that mean for everybody else? Of course, destruction and hell and pain, a whole lot of pain for everybody else. But that's his moral standard, is to bring hell upon earth, to bring war, you know. That's his perspective. All right. So they're going to kill one another, and there was given unto him a great sword. Right. And this sword is synonymous with his blessing. All right. That blessing, that goes back to Genesis, the 27th chapter. Right. Yeah, man, you Christians are way out of your league. You don't know what's going on. And by the time you figure it out, it's already late. It's already late. It's way too late. Hebrews 11:20, by faith Isaac blessed Jacob and Esau concerning things to come. He blessed them concerning things to come. All right. Okay. And when you go into Genesis 27, all right, 27, and I'll get straight to the point. In 40, it says what? This is dealing with Esau. Okay. And Esau, well, 38 says, and I'm going to jump to 40 after 38. So it says, and Esau said unto his father, hast thou but one blessing, my father? Bless me, even me also, O my father. And Esau lifted up his voice and wept. Why? Because Jacob took his blessing, which the scriptures say that Esau was pretty much set by. He was rejected. All right. Remember, he sold his birthright, so he didn't care too much about it. He only cared that Jacob took it. All right. And that created a lot of resentment, and in his heart, he wanted to murder his brother, which, that kind of goes into that. But I'm gonna digress. So verse 40, it says, and by thy sword shalt thou live. That's the same sword in Revelation 6. Him a great sword. That's very synonymous with that. Okay, you can match that up. Because when you go into the word sword, it means to waste. Okay, because that's what he's gonna bring. He's gonna bring a perpetual waste. Okay. When you go into the root word charab, here it says to destroy, by analogy, to destroy, to desolate. All right, destroy, kill, decay, be desolate, destroy. Be, dry up, slay, surely, lay, lie, make waste. Okay. To be waste, lay waste, make desolate, be in ruins. And this is the man that, perpetually have been destroying the earth, and that's Isaiah 14 goes into that, All right. And the things that, that's going to ensue is what? Economic oppression. All right. Legal oppression, military oppression. Okay. And what else? Let me see. You got, here, just bear with me for a second. So economic, political, all right, legal and military oppression. And this is what he brings into the world. And he's got technology at his hand. He's got technology at his, as his strength, which is going to help, evolve his tactics or make stronger his tactics of oppression. Mass surveillance, being able to punish people based on what you think and what you say, being able to stop your money, being able to watch your account, Don't forget, was it Biden that set into play that, accounts get flagged if you withdraw $600 or if your account reaches $600 or something like that. So they want people really poor and marginalized. Okay. We know AI, is pretty much taking over, and what they got it to where Congress, I believe, can't put uh, certain regulations on AI, which allows them to manipulate on social media platforms. You see, and so they paving a way to do what they want to do and how they want to do it. It's already a crazy world, but it's imagine it's gonna get crazier. You know, so I considered 2 Ezra 9:20. So I considered the world, and behold, there was peril, meaning danger, because of the devices that were come into it. A verse before that, it says what? Verse 19, for then everyone obeyed, but now the manners of them which are created in this world that is made are corrupted by a perpetual seed, that's Esau, Edom, and by a law which is unsearchable, rid themselves. So they're ridding themselves of that unsearchable law is the law of the Heavenly Father, his regulations, his standard, and they're ridding themselves of it. Okay, and they're bringing in these different metrics or of ruling. Okay, and it's not in benefit towards you regular everyday people. Peril meaning what? Danger, risk, hazard, jeopardy, exposure of person or property to injury, and that's what people are going to witness on a large scale. No more independence, no more freedoms. All right, no more liberty. Okay, they're looking to come after all of that because they want to play God on earth, but they don't just want to play. The type of God they want to be is an oppressive God, right? Loss or destruction. Let's see here. Danger, risk. You see, people are going to be at risk. All right. An attempt, trial. All right. So remember that political, economic, legal, and military oppression. All right. Because the scriptures say what it says, Revelations 12:12, because the devil, let's get it. Revelations 12:12, therefore rejoice ye heavens and ye that dwell in them, woe to the inhabitants of the earth. Destruction meaning woe. Woe meaning destruction. Okay. Let's go into it because people gonna, they're gonna have to deal with it. All right. Misery, trouble, grief, wretchedness. All right. Second Ezra 8:51. Oh no, 50. Sorry about that. Second Ezra 8:50 here. It says, for many great miseries shall be done to them that in the latter time shall dwell in the world, because they have walked in great pride. Yeah, that's right. Everybody is proud against the Most High. Everybody is not acknowledging the Most High, although they do know the God of the Bible. They do know the Old Testament. That's what they refer to him as, the Old Testament God. But everybody is, in contempt with, how the Lord, how he sets his standard. They despise it. Okay. But he set, laws and regulations for you to, to maintain the earth and how to rule yourself so you won't be destroyed. People don't accept that. So woe, misery, trouble, grief, wretchedness. All right. Okay. So it says what? To the inhabitants of the earth, woe to the inhabitants of the earth. All right. And of the sea, for the devil is come down unto you having great wrath, because he knoweth that he hath but a short time. Let me play this video for y'all. Hold on. Where that button at?
Same words. They are telling the same lies. We are watching the collapse of the international order in real time, and this is just the start. Coups are like concrete. When they stop moving, they set. It is already later than we think. This image, some of you in this room might know these people. I call it tech bros in hostage situations. It's a message to you. This is Putin's playbook. He allows a business elite to make untold riches in exchange for absolute loyalty.
Right. If you thought Putin was, he was the countermeasure to, the West, right? You've been mistaken. He's just as evil. He's just as wicked. If you thought Russia was the answer, you highly mistaken. If you thought China was the answer, and you got people out here who, believe that, you highly mistaken. You have absolutely no clue.
Some people are calling this oligarchy, but it's actually bigger than that. These are global platforms. It's broligarchy.
Look, and they look scared. They ain't nothing but, again, the techies, the platform. They own the platforms, and they're being told what to do. Okay? Now, AI has pretty much compromised them, and they're going to use AI to, weed out, the people that resist, to manipulate, okay, to surveil, so on and so forth.
There is an alignment of interests that runs through Silicon Valley to what is now a coming autocracy. It's a type of power that the world has never seen before.
Yeah, and that's not a joke. Let's ask chat what's an autocracy. It ain't a joke. While Jake's in there scoffing and want to play games when it comes to breaking down the scriptures, bringing out the truth about the MOTB, the mark of the beast, and its image, or the image of the beast and its mark, the mark being an RFID chip. The image as we see it is the standard in which they run society. You got to be loyal to their image. All right. What's an autocracy? Oops. I did spell it right. Oop. I don't know why I'd be doing that. One leader with unchecked authority, king, dictator, or military ruler. All right. No meaningful political opposition. And because they're going to take all the opposition out. And we're gonna see they're gonna be fighting against each other. Right? No it said limited or no civil liberties for citizens. Okay? Revelations 13 goes into what? And he spake as a dragon. All right. So you know what? Let's get that. All right, Revelations 13:11 it says, and I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth, and it had two horns like a lamb. All right, which is the two-party system. Okay, the same as Rome. Okay, the two horns like a lamb represent them putting themselves up as saviors. All right, in somewhat of an innocent fashion, presenting that they want to help, or putting on the facade that they want to help. But here it evolves, because it says, and he spake as a dragon. Okay, and when you go into that, that's dealing with Dracon. All right, which is another word, which is synonymous with Draco. All right, and that has some relation with Draconian. And when you go into Draconian, what Draconian is dealing with, let's get it. All right, pertaining to Draco. Okay, which is the actual Greek word for dragon, and it says it's going to say serpent in Revelation. All right, but when you dig a little bit more deeper, it's how they're going to be ruling. Right, they're going to be ruling like a dragon. a dragon, a great serpent, a name for Satan. All right, Draco or Dracon. Okay. But here it says of or pertaining to Draco, an ancient Greek statesman in reference to laws rigorous, extremely severe, or harsh. And this is where we're going with it. Okay. Or this is where they're going with it. That's why Daniel 12 says what it says. The scripture don't say what it say for no reason. Okay. A lot of people been downplaying and lightly esteeming what the scriptures is saying and playing this game, affording themselves and not uplifting the words of the Heavenly Father and His Son, Yahweh Bashem Shai, which is going to play to your own detriment. Okay. And so that's what they're coming. They're coming with harsh rule, harsh. It's going to be really bad. Okay. All right. So Salakia. I know I'm jumping a lot, and then I got a slew of precepts that I want to bring out to kind of evade the oppression of the elite towards mankind. The scriptures that we always touch on. All right. But to see these scriptures, again, it's just, here, Salakia. All right. So yeah, so it's going to speak as a dragon. Okay. All right. This is not a game. Autocracy. All right. Limited or no civil liberties for citizens. No real democratic elections. And what does Trump said? All right. On elections. He wants to get rid of elections. He wants to have absolute power. Okay. Fair use. Trump signed an order to reshape how elections in the U.S. are run. Is it constitutional? No, it's not constitutional because they're getting rid of the Constitution. He wants to have absolute power. After the president signed his executive order Tuesday calling for broad election changes such as proof of citizenship for voter registration. Let me see. Is this it? No, this ain't it. Oops. Dang. Okay. Trump planned to end free elections in 2026 and 2028 revealed. Trump canceling elections. All right, how Trump is plotting to disrupt the next election. Why? Because they want to bring in this NWO, New World Order. Okay, well, there's going to be the dictator. There's going to be a autocracy. Okay, which that lady just said. And Salagi, if I keep, but I mean, you should get the gist. Centralized control over government, media, and sometimes the economy. And what does that mean for the regular, average day Joe Schmo? That means you ain't going to have no room to breathe. You're not going to have any type of freedom. And your freedom is going to be dictated by AI, which is going to, punish you for every little thing that you do or say. Okay. And if you don't abide by their rules, and if you don't give credence to the supreme ruler, so to speak, just like in the Roman Empire, they had what they call emperor worship. All right. Especially in the Greek city-states, that was a heavy thing, And if you didn't prove it, if you didn't show your loyalty to the emperor, you would be casted out economically, and then and most times you'd be persecuted. So it's coming back, all right, and that's essentially the image, If you defy the standard of this place, examples of autocratic systems, absolute monarchies, where a king or queen has total control, dictatorships, where one leader seizes and maintains power. And they've been talking about dictatorships. Okay, the dude that raised up J.D. Vance, I think his name is Yarvin, Curtis Yarvin. All right, on dictatorship. The people that you see in office now, they all been groomed. Okay, this guy right here, they all been groomed. All right, to and essentially put there so they can bring in ultimately the main game plan. All right, was to consolidate all control and rule like gods. You know, and like the elder says, you know, and forge a, you know, what do you call that? a birth, a birthright where they, you know, rule forever and take over everything. Essentially, their kingdom of heaven, but it is really a kingdom of dystopia, a kingdom of hell, where they just perpetually, you know, oppress. Curtis Guy Yarvin, also known by the pen name Mencius Moldbug. All right, and they're into, you know, the evil stuff. You know, they get off on that. Is an American far right political blogger and software developer. He is known along with accelerationist. Boy, and you got to watch out for that word, philosopher Nick Land, because they're the one that put a lot of things in motion. Okay, for founding the anti-egalitarian and anti-democratic philosophical movement known as the Dark Enlightenment or neo-reactionary movement. These guys, what they believe is diabolical. Okay. Where J.D. Vance gets his weird, terrifying, techno-authoritarian, what do you say? Authoritarian ideas. You see, and these guys are moving with this philosophy, you know, being dictators and ruling how they see fit. You know. All right, so Salaki.
It's always the data. It's the crack cocaine of Silicon Valley. You know, the first thing that Elon Musk did was to send his cyber troops into the US Treasury to get access to the data.
Yep, that's all he needed. That's all he needed. It was a back door to bring in AI, and from there they finna wreak havoc. And you know, what do you think came from that? All right, the big better bill, where they're starting to cut people off, food stamps, SNAPs, healthcare, Medicaid, Medicare, all of that. All right, it's to cut you people off. All right.
That is not a coincidence, it's a hack. That data is now feeding AIs that are choosing who to sack and who to replace.
That's it. You see, they're gonna get rid of all the old folk, and they're gonna champion the younger generation who they brainwash and into this, you know, this technocracy. All right. And they're gonna have the mind of, you know, they're gonna have the mind of these elite. Okay, they're gonna forward the agenda of these elite, and they're gonna cut off everybody else. All right, they're gonna prop up whoever they're able to brainwash.
Sorry, eliminate fraud and waste.
That's it. That means eliminate the poor. That's all it's code for.
When we broke the Cambridge Analytica story about the harvesting 87 million people's Facebook data, people freaked out. Rightly. This is chicken feed.
Yeah, and they said that your data was compromised. All right, you thought that was on by accident, or No, that was on purpose.
Compared to that. But it is the blueprint. It's always the data. Which is why it's so important that you start thinking about your private life. The oligarchy doesn't want you to have one. This is the old headquarters of the East German secret police. They kept detailed files on almost 1 in 3 of their citizens. That is nothing compared to what Google has on every single one of us and hundreds of other companies. The entire business model of Silicon Valley is surveillance. It harvests our data in order to sell us stuff. We are already living inside the architecture of totalitarianism. It may not.
They clapping, but what when we talk about, when Daniel says a time like none other, that's exactly what he means. Daniel 12:1, and at that time shall Michael stand up, because now they got technology at their behest, and with that they're gonna bring in robots for surveillance, drones, you name it. All right, it's gonna, like the elder brought out, it's gonna be like that movie Elysium. With a robot, you had to go to work, and if you do one minor infraction, you can be locked up. They can take your credits away, and just pure oppression. That's why the Lord has to help us out. That's why the angels are going to help out. The angels are going to have to help out. All right. And at that time shall Michael stand up, the great prince, which standeth for the children of thy people, and there shall be a time of trouble, such as never was since there was a nation, even to that same time. All right. And at that time thy people shall be delivered. So deliverance is coming. So it's not all woe. It is obviously, but it's not all. It's not to put you in fear per se, but it is to put you in fear of the Lord, because at the end of the day, you have to understand that the Lord is the one that's determining these things, that's allowing these things, that's moving these chess pieces. All right, because again, he says he's gonna bring a third part through the fire. All right, and he's gonna purge us through this. All right, so it ain't all doom and gloom, is even though it's doom and gloom. All right, Isaiah 48:9, for my name's sake will I defer mine anger, and for my praise will I refrain for thee, that I cut thee not off. Behold, I have refined thee. All right, but not with silver. I have chosen thee in the furnace of affliction for mine own sake, even for mine own sake will I do it. For how should my name be polluted? And I will not give my glory unto another. Like, you got these individuals say that all people can be saved. Well, the Lord said he's not giving his glory unto another. All right, that glory, all right, and the fulfillment of the covenants and the promises go to Israel. But how are we going to receive that? We got to go through the fire. All right, because his name ain't going to be polluted, and we bear his name, because we are his woman. We're likened unto his wife, the nation of Israel. All right, so the Lord is doing it for his sake and his sake alone. All right, he's purging us and he's bringing us through that fire. Okay. Oops. All right, because 2/3 of the nation of Israel are going to be wiped out from what's about to ensue. All right. Zechariah 13:8, it says, and it shall come to pass that in all the land, said the Lord, Yahweh, 2 parts therein shall be cut off and die, but the third shall be left therein, and I will bring the third part through the fire. All right, and will refine them as silver is refined, and will try them as gold is tried. And all the Lord is doing is testing our loyalty. All right, he's testing whether or not we're worthy. Okay, They shall call on my name, and I will hear them. I will say, it is my people, and they shall say, the Lord Yahweh is my power. And there's going to be a great deliverance from this ensuing danger. Okay? There's going to be a great deliverance. Okay?
Have been deliberate. But we now have to start acting.
Yeah, these people are through. All right? They ain't got a chance. The only ones that have a chance is the elect. Okay? So to sum up what the elite is doing, Micah 2:1, woe to them that devise iniquity, and that's dealing with the elites. Okay? Because, yeah, the Lord is using them, but he's going to punish them because that's how he's just setting everything up. All right? Because they devise evil against, and iniquity against who? The Lord's people, and the rest of the world, so they can conquer him, and they want to play God, and they want to phase the Most High Yahweh about Shem Yahushai out. But the Lord is about to set them up. All right? So he's allowing certain things to be done. So ultimately he can set them up, and they're going to fall by their own sword. They're going to fall on their own sword. All right? Remember that sword back in Revelation 6 and then Genesis 27 and 40. Okay? And I don't think I even finished that neither, Salaki on that. Woe to them that divide. Now that I think about it, I don't think I finished Genesis 27 and 40. All right. But let's continue. Let's see here. Woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds. When the morning is light, they practice it because it is in the power of their hand. And they covet fields and take them by violence, and houses and take them away. So they oppress a man in his house, even a man in his heritage. And that's what's going to be happening on a grand scale. Okay, let's see what the GNT says. All right. Let's get Micah 2. All right, and 1. I like how it says it on this one. Micah chapter 2 and 1. How terrible it will be for those who lie awake and plan evil. That's what Esau do. The scriptures say they get no rest until they cause some to fall. All right, to trip up. When morning comes, as soon as they have the chance, they do the evil they plan. Okay. When they want fields, they seize them. And that's what you got, what do you call them? BlackRock. All right. Which they're buying up everything all over all over the United States, all over the world. All right. So, you would have to go through them to get what you need. And then, oh boy, good luck with that. All right. You have to sign your soul away. Literally, that's what's coming. When they want fields, they seize them. When they want houses, they take them. No one's family or property is safe. That's Vanguard, BlackRock. All right. Okay. I'm gonna read the rest of these in the GNT. All right. Well, let's see here. No, you know what? I don't have to. All right. I'm gonna pick and choose between KJV, NLT, and GNT. All right. So Amos 8. All right, and 4. And this is going to be in the NLT. I like this one better. It says, "Listen to this, you who rob the poor and trample down the needy," because that's what this is all about. It's about consolidating control, taking over everything. You can't wait for the Sabbath day to be over and the religious festivals to end so you can get back to cheating the helpless. You measure out grain with dishonest measures. And of course, this is the wicked of Israel, the wicked leaders of Israel, but you can apply it to the wicked leaders of this world. All right. And mind you, they are posing themselves to be the Israelites. All right, they are posing themselves to be God's children in place of the real Israelites. Okay, it says, and cheat the buyer with dishonest scales. All right, so you can apply it to the modern day synagogue of Satan. Okay, which are the elites. All right, verse 6 is here. It says, and you mix the grain you sell with chaff swept from the floor. All right. Okay. And yeah, that's like cheating, man. You know, right? They don't give you the good stuff, right? They putting and it shows you because what they're giving you, um, they giving you that mixed meat, okay, human meat inside the burgers that people eating horse meat. That was an actual thing. They finding DNA of humans in the sandwiches, in the burgers, and DNA horse meat. All right, or you know, they're finding the DNA of the horse in the meat, and the DNA of human uh uh in the meat as well. All right, and that's what they're doing. Then you enslave poor people for one piece of silver or a pair of sandals. You see. See here, Sirach 13. And let's go 3. The rich man hath done wrong, and yet he threateneth withal. The poor is wrong, and he must entreat also. All right, and you got to be sorry for what being truthful, okay. But when they do wrong, they threaten you, okay, and that's how these Edomites are, and that's what you've been seeing, okay. Yeah, it says the GNT says they oppress the poor even more. Let's get Ben Sirah. All right, 13. What was it? 3. It says, if a rich man wrongs someone, he can afford to add insult to injury. But if a poor person is wronged, he is forced to apologize for himself. Right. Then, for example, you had Kanye West, pointing out the evil that, that was done to him. Right. And he had to apologize. Imagine that. Somebody wronged you, but you got to be the one to apologize, okay, for being wrong because you called out their mess. All right. That's what's going on in the world right now. That's what's going on. All right. And this is just on an economic level. All right. This is on an economic level. All right. Let's get James. All right. James 5. Look here, you rich people, weep and groan with anguish. All right, because of all the terrible troubles ahead of you. Yeah, they're gonna have to pay the piper. They're gonna have to face judgment. But before that, they're gonna wreak havoc. Your wealth is rotting away, and your fine clothes are moth-eaten rags. All right, meaning the money system is waning. Okay, it says your gold and silver have become worthless. The very wealth you were counting on will eat away your flesh like fire. This treasure you have accumulated will stand as evidence against you on the day of judgment. For listen, all right, hear the cries of the field workers, those are the slaves, whom you have cheated of their pay. And that's right, they tax you, all right, because we live in a fascist state, okay. And I don't think that's the term though, is it? Well, yeah, they tax everything that you have. They even tax your paycheck, and that's economically that's not sound. You're not even supposed to do that. That's an unfair balance. it's supposed to give you your wages at the end of the day. All right. The wages you held back cry out against you. That's right. The cries of those who harvest your fields have reached the ears of the Lord of heaven's armies. Right. And you're not supposed to oppress the poor, nor are you supposed to let them go starving, because if our prayer, here, let me get this Sirach, chapter 4. All right. And 1, it says, my son, defraud not the poor of his living, and make not the needy eyes to wait long. Make not an hungry soul sorrowful, neither provoke a man in his distress. Add not more trouble to an heart that is vexed. And this is what they monopolizing on this. They're monopolizing on oppressing people. All right. And defer not to give him that is in need. Reject not the supplication of the afflicted, neither turn away thy face from a poor man. And that's what this whole new world order is about. Okay, it's about putting more pressure, putting more oppression on the poor. It says, turn not away thine eye from the needy, and give him none occasion to curse thee. Well, he gave us enough occasion to curse him, right? For if he curse thee in the bitterness of his soul, his prayer shall be heard of him that made him. See? So the Lord's going to hear our prayers. All right? And that's just the economic standpoint. Okay? But when you go politically, they all right? They're getting us politically. Okay? It says, said not that 5 and 8, Sirach, or Ecclesiasticus 5 and 8. Here, it says, set not thine heart upon goods unjustly gotten. All right, we live in a fascist state where they tax you on everything. All right, and they set certain rules and regulations and policy in order just to exploit the people. For they shall not profit thee in the day of calamity. Right, so they got judgment coming because of the defrauding and the unjust laws. Okay. Okay. And then the scripture go into how they speak peaceable words, like they're innocent and like they're the vanguards of, saving, the people. But whole time, they're just setting up to destroy people. All right. And scriptures say, well, by peace, they should destroy many. That was in the Greek Empire, Antiochus Epiphanes. Okay. All right. And I think I'm going to have to cut this lesson, man. Legally, they getting, Isaiah 10 and 1, Habakkuk 1 and 4, just to name a few, Amos 5 and 11, Wisdom of Solomon 2 and 11. I'm going to have to cut the lesson right now. And hopefully it allows the lesson to be rendered so I can upload, Okay. One more precept, because militarily, they're going to start oppressing as well. Martial law. Okay. Psalms 94. All right. And 5, it says what? It says, they break in pieces thy people, O Lord, and afflict thine heritage. They slay the widow and the stranger and murder the fatherless. Yet they say, the Lord Yahweh shall not see, neither shall the God of Jacob regard it. Right? And look, they have no idea. All right? They have no idea. Because they think they're getting away with it scot-free. Sirach 23 and 19, such a man only feareth the eyes of men, and knoweth not that the eyes of the Lord are 10,000 times brighter than the sun, beholding all the ways of men, considering the most secret parts. He knew all things ere ever they were created, so also after they were perfected, he looked upon them all. All right. This man shall be punished in the streets of the city, because everybody's going to see his destruction. And where he suspected suspecteth not, he shall be taken. Okay. And that's when they're garnering and or taking everything and consolidating or expanding that control by taking people's souls through what the MOTB. Okay. That's when the Lord is going to pounce. Right. One more precept and then I'm going to have to close Salakia. Because I got to be up in a few hours, which is insane. But again, let's see here. And what's about to happen is the Lord is about to intervene. All right. Sirach or Ecclesiasticus 10:4, the power of the earth is in the hand of the Lord, and in due time he will set over it one that is profitable, and that's Yahushua, in the elect of Israel. Why? Because of unrighteous dealings, injuries, and riches got by deceit, the kingdom is translated from one people to another. So because of all the evil that they've done, the Lord is going to overturn what's been established, okay? And he's going to have to pay restitution for all that he's taken, okay? Why is the earth and ashes proud? Because it's what he's going to be reduced to. All right. There is not a more wicked thing than a covetous man. And Esau is the most covetous because they want everything that everyone else has. They don't want nobody with anything, which is absurd. But, I mean, what else do you expect from the devil? You shouldn't expect nothing, really. For such an one setteth his own soul to sell, because while he liveth, he casteth away his bowels. Like, they don't have no care in the world. They're not pricked with any empathy or sympathy for the poor, for the people that have less. Okay. The physician cutteth off a long disease. That's what they are. They're disease. They're a virus. He that is today a king, tomorrow shall die. And that's what's about to happen to the elite. For when a man is dead, he shall inherit creeping things, beasts, and worms. Because he selleth his own soul to sell. I think that's what's coming up. The beginning of pride is when one departed from the Most High, and his heart is turned away from his Maker. And they've been turned away from the Lord. All right. For pride is the beginning of sin, and he that hath it shall pour out abomination. And that's what they're doing. And therefore the Lord brought upon them strange calamities and overthrew them utterly by thermonuclear fire. Because when the Lord arises, he's going to despise her image. Right. And the Lord is going to be extremely wrathful towards the workers of iniquity. So with that, Lord willing, this was edifying. Until next time, I say shalom.